So Young Thug has been saying a lot lately, and Kendrick was included in that a lot. And when is Drake not trying to say something subliminal or explicit about Kendrick Lamar? So let's see what K-Dot's response has been.
As we are, and this is coming off of a moment in rap where we have seen more than ever that these big name people who have tried to run the genre for over a decade at this point are softer than tissue paper. Kendrick echoing these words about really
This nigga hates Drake though, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This is a nigga that really hates Drake.
Whether we're talking about Lawbury or Young Thug and the call he had, which despite many apologies he has put out, he never went back on.
Is this real? What the hell? This has to be AI, bro. What am I looking at right now? What is this clip from?
Young Thug
what is this clip from?
Had, which despite many apologies he has put out, he never went
No, that has to be fake, bro. That has to be fake.
Back on what he said about Kendrick Lamar. Overall, within this moment, what we now know and what we have found out is that Kendrick Lamar seemingly already knew about this situation with Young Thug and knew the response and disses that went his way all the way back from this phone call and I guess the fallout that it may have caused. And really, Kendrick must have known that Young Thug was disrespecting his own cousin Baby Keem while at the same time showing Drake all of the love and support possible, no matter how much of a loser and hypocrite he looked for this. The reason why we do know this is because just like with everything else that has been important to Kendrick's story and the story of hip-hop ever since he came back outside with Like That, well, Kendrick Lamar has left everything essential right within his music, and what Kendrick Lamar already seemingly did almost a year ago was address this entire beef, and just like the master lyricist and writer that he is, he was just waiting for all of us to catch up and realize what this was about.
Okay, so he's saying, this is interesting, he's saying that Kendrick knew about all of this all along and he already responded to it before it ever came out to the public on GNX. Now that's crazy.
He said that people are cackling about blank, which we all figured was Puff at the time. And then of course Kendrick follows this up and says that all of you are on trial. Well, and it does seem like other people did theorize this when the record dropped, but overall Kendrick could have been name dropping Young Thug here, and when you see the Gunna line from Euphoria and think about this, what I personally think is that this line is blurred out to reflect Puff and Jeffrey's names, and that's the art of it, and that is the mastery of the line in of itself.
Damn.
Which is why Kendrick blurred it out, which also could have been to avoid some other troubles as well in terms of the consequences of him calling them out. But now alongside this, with the track Squabble Up, well, seemingly with the second half of this song and in the closing verse, Kendrick Lamar did address this entire situation, and what I will say is that while there is nothing to verify that Kendrick Lamar heard the call that just came out of Young Thug crashing out over not getting a Kendrick verse and everything that he went to ramble on about that, really, when you just look at the bars that Kendrick has, everything does seem to line up, and it either does feel like Kendrick Lamar either got a hold of the call directly, or he just got the message relayed to him about how mad Jeffrey was about not getting a feature from him for his album, and maybe some of the hypocrisy that he showed when he was mad that Kendrick just declined him and didn't want to give him a drop. And
am I tripping? Like, why would Young Thug expect a feature from Kendrick Lamar? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I don't know, bro. That's kind of...
So let's just get into this verse that when you understand, there is no way that any of this is a coincidence. Right within the next lines, where after calling out the fakes, he straight up says, pipe down Young, these some whole other politics. And obviously, I mean, you don't need me to explain this. The word Young is obviously calling out Young Thug by name here without affecting him directly. Okay. And I think this is what is very important about the
I would have called that a reach a couple of months ago, but considering the unfolding of recent events, bro, honestly, it's more believable than not.
When you consider the real world circumstances that Young Thug was in at the time, it makes sense why Kendrick both didn't want to expose too much and seemingly push him while he was down, although of course there was so much more to the story that we didn't know. But then of course now, as Kendrick Lamar just goes in further on this verse and asks, tell me why you rap if it's fictional, and then bigger than that says, tell me why you fed if you criminal, then of course...
Damn, nah, I'm not gonna lie. That nigga talking to Thug, bro. That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
He has that iconic line where he says, "Hey, Dot, can I get a drop?" And he says, "No."
That's actually crazy. No, this nigga is actually talking about Thug. Bro, that is actually crazy. This nigga Kendrick Lamar is fucking clairvoyant, bro. It's like he knew all this shit was gonna happen, bro. That's crazy.
where the real disingenuous of this is, because first off, well, Young Thug asking Kendrick for a drop and him telling him no is literally what did happen when he tried to get a feature for his Business is Business album. But then before that, with these lines, he does not just call out Young Thug for being a fake rapper who, to be honest, did way more harm than good by rapping from as fake of a place as he always had. But then in addition, with that whole Fed and criminals section, Kendrick is not just alluding back to the Gunna bar and bringing that full circle and saying that he knows stuff that would make him look like a saint in comparison to maybe what Young Thug was doing. But then Fed also has multiple meanings here, as it's not just alluding to Young Thug's phone call hotline, but it's also referring to this. And now when you just see Kendrick Lamar rapping all this, like he had a crystal ball.
Nah, fat shaming the guy is just, way to kick a guy when he's down for real, bro.
Or something, it all makes so much sense now. And honestly, in the bigger picture, the entire rap industry could have already known every single thing that we heard about Young Thug. And the fan pages just got a hold of it who put these things out there, because especially when we see Kendrick Lamar allude to so much of what happened in this situation right within a song that dropped in November, and even just in general, this verse being about the decay that this other side in hip-hop is going through, which really has never felt more prevalent than right now. I mean, overall, these lyrics could just not have lined up better, and I think what we can draw from all of that is that Kendrick Lamar knew this day would come eventually, and we would put these pieces together. Speaking of putting the pieces together, well, as we are seeing a rap world where the party is finally coming to an end, and at the same time as Young Thug is rat status and Drake is a full-blown courtside Karen, well, Kendrick is halfway to EGOT status, and he has become as marketable and household of a name as Josh Allen or Cooper Flagg. Well, once again, Kendrick is continuing to put on for the craft of hip-hop in every sense of the word, and is showing how high you can really reach, and at the same time as we are seeing guys all over just give rap a bad name and show the opposite of what you should. Well, really, from Kendrick Lamar leading the way and taking the profession to places nobody would have ever thought it could have ever reached, and keeping his name and music as a mainstay for now the second NFL season in a row, which I do think is a really valuable indicator of the real-world impact Kendrick Lamar is having, as of course the NFL is one of the biggest brands you could possibly get a hold of, and well, it literally holds the marquee event in our calendar. Well, listen, I think I speak for all of us when I say to Kendrick, just
which he already dominated, by the way.
Keep going, because one thing
got a
that
whole
he has
damn
now
Emmy for it
ever is that Kendrick Lamar is not just a loser rapper's kryptonite and the reason why so many fakes are crashing out to new lows, but Kendrick is also the reason why rap will reach new heights that nobody else has ever taken it to. And when you just put all of this into perspective and even understand that Young Thug phone call where he rants about how Kendrick Lamar doesn't want to work with Wham or Moneybagg Yo, and he's focused on sticking to his own thing and just trying to build his own identity, everything just makes more sense than ever, which overall is showing that these losers don't hate Kendrick Lamar for any of the weird narratives and loopholes and hoops that they try to jump through, but it's just all because these guys are fake lazy losers who have been trying to grift such an important art form, and as they keep failing, this guy winning is just driving them mad. And so now with all this said, let me know, what do you think about everything going on with Kendrick Lamar's response?
I think it's definitely interesting, bro. I love seeing Kendrick win. I'm never gonna not like seeing Kendrick win, so it is what it is there. And it's crazy because the video's titled Kendrick Just Responded, but it's that the response just now clicked for everyone, whereas he been responded over almost a year ago, bro. That's kind of crazy. But hey, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.